I want to give you a little exercise in critical thinking. Right now, be thinking about your future challenges, like what challenges are going to exist when you get out of prison. My name is Michael Santos, and if you've been working through our course, Preparing for Success After Prison, any of the premium content that Adovo offers, or any of our free information that Prison Professors offers, you will know that I never ask anybody to do anything that I didn't do. And I had to think creatively. Very early on, I had to use critical thinking skills to build businesses and to overcome challenges. And at the end of this essay, I'm going to tell you the strategies that I used to acquire my first piece of real estate during my first days in the halfway house after serving 25 years in prison. So stay tuned to the end, because I'm going to give you that example as a follow-up to this lesson is on developing critical thinking skills. Everything I'm doing really begins with critical thinking. I've got to overcome challenges. I've got to overcome problems. I am formerly incarcerated, so I always consider myself as being unemployable. And because I think about that, I got to develop, okay, well, what can I do? What are the opportunity costs that come with every decision? How am I going to overcome them? And that's what you have to be doing as well. So you will see here at Prison Professors, as it says here on the top of the website, we strive to teach people how to teach themselves. And that means start by developing critical thinking. So the vocabulary word today is critical thinking. And that we define as the ability to analyze, evaluate, and interpret information objectively and logically in order to form well-reasoned judgments and make sound decisions. So here's the lesson content. Critical thinking involves thinking independently, assessing information objectively, and making thoughtful decisions based on evidence and logical reasoning. It involves questioning and challenging assumptions, biases, and preconceived notions. With critical thinking, a person thinks deeper and tries to get the logical coherence of arguments. It goes beyond accepting information at face value. In prison, it is crucial to develop critical thinking. People spread rumors or cling to fantasy rather than reality. Developing critical thinking skills enhances our problem-solving abilities, increases our understanding of complex issues, and makes us more self-reliant decision makers. Our course offers many examples to show how critical thinking influences prospects for higher success levels. We should always grasp how today's decisions influence opportunities for tomorrow. I have written about many people who developed strong critical thinking during their time in prison. For example, consider Weldon Long. Drug abuse led him to commit violent crimes. A judge sentenced him to prison when he was 19. While Weldon served his sentence, he allowed other people to influence him. Bad adjustment decisions led to further problems when he got out. Within a couple of years, authorities charged Weldon with new criminal conduct. He returned to prison. Again, a failure to prepare for success during his second term in prison brought consequences. He got out and found more problems. Within a couple years, Weldon returned to prison a third time. During his third term in prison, however, Weldon exercised willpower. He rejected the bad advice of people around him and developed himself. Those skills helped him leave prison the third time with exceptional critical thinking. That commitment to personal development led to a massively successful career in corporate training. We feature Weldon's story in one of our supplemental DVD recordings. If you listen to Weldon, you'll hear him talk about his regret that he didn't develop critical thinking during his first or second terms. But it's never too late to work on personal development. Each person in prison uses critical thinking every day. To the extent that we consider the opportunity costs that accompany every decision, we make better decisions. We want participants in our course to make better decisions, and for that reason, we emphasize the importance of critical thinking for personal development. To make the best progress, Here are some suggestions. Analyze information. Critical thinking begins with the skill of analyzing information. It involves breaking down complex ideas or situations into their parts, examining evidence, and identifying relevant factors. Evaluate arguments. Critical thinking requires assessing the strengths and weaknesses of arguments or claims. It involves questioning assumptions, considering alternative viewpoints, and distinguishing between valid reasons and logical fallacies. Consider objectivity and open-mindedness. Critical thinking necessitates approaching information and ideas with objectivity and open-mindedness. It means being willing to challenge our beliefs and biases, considering different perspectives, and being receptive to new evidence or viewpoints. Be a problem solver and decision maker. Critical thinking enhances our problem solving and decision making skills. It involves systematically analyzing a situation, considering multiple options, and selecting the most viable solution based on logical reasoning and evidence. Communicate ideas effectively. Critical thinking aligns with effective communication. It involves articulating our thoughts clearly, supporting our arguments with evidence, and engaging in thoughtful discussions to refine our ideas. So here are some critical thinking exercises for you. Start by answering that question. How do you understand the concept of critical thinking? Why is critical thinking important for personal development, particularly during imprisonment? Share an example of a time when critical thinking helped you make a sound decision or solve a problem in prison. How did it contribute to your personal growth? How can developing your critical thinking skills help you prepare for making informed choices and solving complex problems after release? What strategies can you employ to enhance your critical thinking during your time in prison? And here are your activities. Reflect on a recent decision and describe how you used critical thinking to arrive at that decision. Analyze the steps, the information you considered, and the reasoning behind your choice. What could you have done differently to improve your critical thinking process? Identify one area where you would like to apply critical thinking more effectively. Write down specific actions you can take to develop and enhance your critical thinking skills, such as seeking out diverse perspectives or conducting research on the topic. Remember, critical thinking is a powerful personal development, problem-solving, and decision-making tool. By developing and honing your critical thinking skills during your time in prison, you equip yourself with the ability to analyze information objectively, make sound judgments, and confidently navigate complex situations. These skills will serve you well in your journey towards post-release success. And again, at the bottom of our webpage, I always try to remember to put on there our address. So if you want to write to us, you just send a letter to Prison Professors at 32565 Golden Lantern, Suite B1026 in Dana Point, California, 92629. But if you want to be a part of our community where we are documenting people's pathways and preparations for success upon release, well, then we want you to send an email invite to interns@prisonprofessorstalent.com. That's interns@prisonprofessorstalent.com. And what we do is we go out and recruit university students, and we've got an amazing director of advocacy right now. Her name is Aaliyah. She's a student at American University who's really passionate about social injustice and wanting to help incarcerated people prepare for success. So we're really grateful that she is on our team. But I told you at the beginning of this essay when we were speaking about critical thinking, I was going to give you an example of how critical thinking helped lead to me buying my first piece of real estate when I was in the first days of my halfway house. You see, some people may say, well, you were lucky to be able to do that. And I will always agree that I'm lucky. I'm lucky. In fact, I like to promote that motto that says, the harder I work, the luckier I become. And I want you to work hard preparing for success after prison so you can be lucky as well. But for me, it started not when I got out of prison, but at the very beginning of my prison term, when I knew how I wanted to emerge. I could define success by saying, I want to get out of prison with my dignity intact and with opportunities to prosper, regardless of the fact that I will have served a quarter century in prison. So what I did was, first of all, I developed the record. In prison, I worked to get a college university degree and become a published author and develop relationships. And I did all of that by writing letters. So that's how I got, university professors to come and mentor me, or publishers to bring my books to market, was I built this record and documented everything that I did. So when I got towards like the last years of my sentence and I knew I was going to be getting out, I started writing letters to successful real estate developers because I knew I wanted to be involved in real estate. And one of the first people, I had to write a lot of letters and get a lot of no's, but when I found somebody who said yes, he wanted to help me, it was really just because I wrote an unsolicited letter like anybody else can do. Critical thinking. This was basically what the letter that I wrote. I said, I've been in prison for a long time. I came in 1987, and when I was in prison, I decided I wanted to reconcile with society and make amends. And my strategy was to focus on educating myself, contributing to society, and building a support network. And because I had that very clear model, I was fortunate to get an undergraduate degree and a master's degree. But now I'm coming to the end of my prison term, and I know I want to work in real estate. So I'm offering you this opportunity if you're willing to take it. I will come and work for you for free. And if you find me a willing student and somebody who's worthy of your time, I will ask you for an opportunity to intern with you. And you don't even have to pay me. I just want to work for you and learn from you. But if you find me worthy, I hope that you will give me an opportunity, because real estate is going to be an important part of my future. And I wrote this letter, and you send 100 letters out, somebody's going to write you back if you've done the groundwork. And because I did the groundwork, I found a real estate developer that was willing to help me. And when it came time that I got out and I was in the halfway house and I went to see him, I continued to ask him for his help. And I asked him to sell me a house, but I didn't have any credit. I mean, I'd been in prison for 25 years and I was in the halfway house. And I remember him asking me, why is it so important for you to buy a house if you don't have any credit and you're in a halfway house and you're going to be in a halfway house for another year? And I said to him, I'm trying to teach and inspire people in prison. And sometimes those people in prison didn't have good role models. And I need to find a way to show them, if I'm not financially successful, they're not going to believe in anything I have to say. I have to be successful in order to persuade them to start preparing to be successful. And I want you to help me by selling me a house. And I remember him asking me if I had any credit and if I had any money. And I had money because I prepared myself well. So I had some money in the bank when I got out of prison because I'd set a goal very early on of saying, I want to have enough money in the bank when I get out of prison that I could live a full year without having an income. And if you plant that seed early enough, you could be creative in finding ways to do it. And I found my ways to do it using critical thinking. And I could use that to advance possibilities for other people to believe in me. And what I told him was, I said, look, you invest in projects all the time that are long tail projects that you don't expect to get a return for 5 years. And I said, I want you to see me not for who I am right now, a guy who just got out of prison on Monday and is in the halfway house for another year. I want you to see me for what I'll be in 5 years. And if you think I'll be successful, I'm going to ask you to make that investment. Sell me a house, and as soon as I qualify to get credit, I'll get a mortgage and cash you out. But I want to record the transaction so I could take it into prisons and show other people why they have to focus on being successful and preparing for success while they're in prison. And that's how I got my first house when I was in the halfway house with no money down and without credit. And still having another year to serve in a halfway house. You can be successful too if you develop critical thinking skills. And I would never ask you to do anything I didn't do. So continue working through our programs. If you want additional programs, look at the premium content that Adovo offers, or visit Prison Professors and see our resources, and you will find that we are deeply committed to helping people reach their highest potential. But we need your help as well. Stay out of trouble in prison, because we're trying to change laws so that we can measure justice by profiling people like you. My name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors, and I believe in you. Thank you.